If you're looking for a very professional, polished, well-edited video, you've clicked on the wrong thumbnail. If you are looking to hear medical advice, if you are looking to be coached by someone who has all of the certifications and letters behind their name, again, you've clicked on the wrong thumbnail, you've come to the wrong channel. If you're expecting to hear from someone who has already lost all the weight they need to lose and has kept it off for years, there are plenty of other channels out there that you could go to and watch where you will find that kind of content. That is not where you are. That is not what this is. So that begs the question, what is this? Where are you? What's the purpose or the point of your being here with me? As I sip my cinnamon tea and stare into this iPhone. Well, the bottom line is this. I'm a guy who's over 55, almost 56, who weighed 335 pounds, who had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and quite a few other things that might have been coming down the pike at me pretty quickly, who finally decided that enough was enough, who finally got so desperate to change that he was willing to make radical changes in order to achieve the changes he wanted to see in his life. That's where you are. That's who I am. I am a person in process, right? I am a human becoming. I have not arrived. I am on my way. And I'd love to share the journey with you. You know, some of you, a few of you, like you, Sugar Wafers, yeah, I'm talking to you. You've been with me for a while. You too, Fluffy Pancakes. You guys have been here from the very beginning almost. And you comment on my videos and you encourage me, and I love you for that. Thank you so much for that encouragement. But there are a few others maybe who are seeing this channel for the first time who have no idea who I am or what I'm talking about. So let me get that out of the way real quickly. My name's Ken. This is Losing in 2025. This is the chronicle of my weight loss journey as I attempt to lose 100 pounds in 2025 and hopefully reverse some of the chronic health conditions that I was diagnosed with over the last year and a half or so. That's who I am. That's where you are. This is the week 26 update, but it's actually more than that because we've been at this now for 6 months. So not only is it the week 26 update, but it is the 6-month update, the halfway point. We are halfway there, and I want very much to share my story with you. Yeah, you. I'm sorry, I'm pointing. Is that rude? I apologize. I want to share my story with you. And I hope that by sharing my story with you and talking to you about the things that I've done to achieve at least a modicum of change in my life, I'm hoping that some of those things would be inspiring to you and that you would be interested in knowing, what I did to get to where I am, because I'm a lot further down the road than I thought I might have been at this point in time. And that's a great thing. So I want to share with you my journey. I want to talk to you about what I've done, about how I did it, and about what I plan to do next in order to get to where I want to be by the end of 2025. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. There's more to come. Okay, so I'm going to roll some historical footage here and show you where I was at the beginning of this journey and the things that I thought at the beginning of this journey. I am overweight, over 50, and overwhelmed. The bottom line is, I'm pretty unhealthy. And if I don't make a change now, I don't know if I ever will. I don't know how it's going to go. It's going to be hard sometimes. Things are going to be challenging, I'm sure. So, a little backstory. I recently found out that I have type 2 diabetes and hypertension. I weighed in this morning at 335 pounds. My blood pressure is high, my blood sugar is high. That was a big wake-up call for me. and it made me realize that I need to make some very significant changes. Changes that I know will help me live a healthier, happier, and, Lord willing, longer life. So I've decided that I'm going to try 90 days on a whole food, plant-based diet. We shopping for healthy stuff. Yep, shopping. Yeah. Here's the thing. I know it's not easy. And there are a lot of things in life that we have to face that aren't easy. I'm not doing this just to lose weight for the sake of losing weight. It's about getting control of my health, making lasting habits, and proving to myself that I can do this. And that's where the show comes in. I'm creating Losing It 2025 to keep myself accountable and motivated, to track my progress and to share my journey with you if you're interested. But I want to invite you to join me on the journey. I want to invite you to tag along and see if maybe some of the things that I experience and go through might inspire you as you face your own challenges, whatever those may be. The goal is simple: lose 100 pounds this year, and to do it in as healthy a way as possible, to manage my diabetes and my blood pressure so that I can feel better, move better, live better, and hopefully be a good example to those around me and maybe even to you. Now, that's pretty bad, wouldn't you agree? I mean, bad in the sense that guy was desperate, and he needed to be desperate. You know, people have said to me, "Man, Ken, you've been so dedicated to this process," and my response to them has been, "Yeah, no, I'm not dedicated, desperate," right? I wasn't dedicated enough to change. If dedication would have helped me change, I'd have changed a long time ago. In fact, watch this video from a previous attempt at weight loss. Check it out. This morning I stepped on the scale and it read a higher number than any number that I've ever seen on my scale before. It was 329 pounds. That is not okay. It's not okay with me. I've been close to this before. I've been 326 pounds before, and then proceeded to lose about 60 pounds, but fell back into old habits. A variety of things happened, and long story short, here I am again. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be this weight. I don't like the way I feel. And so I am trying yet again to change. Okay, I hope you can agree. That one was just sad, right? It was sad. I was sad, and that didn't change. I wasn't dedicated. If I had been, maybe I'd have changed sooner. But what finally happened to me is I became desperate. I mean, when your doctor says, "Hey, dude, you've got type 2 diabetes," he didn't say dude, but you get my point. When your doctor tells you, "We need to put you on this medication for hypertension because your blood pressure's through the roof. We're surprised you're not having a stroke right now," that'll get your attention. When you spend a week in the hospital because of cellulitis brought on by swelling in your legs, because you've got this edema that's going on, that will get your attention, or at least it ought to. When they run some tests and say, "Hey, guess what? You've got fatty liver disease," and "Hey, guess what? We think you might have stage 1 heart failure." You know, when things like that start happening, those are the alarm bells going off. Those are the things that are supposed to get your attention, in case, running out of breath as you climbed up the stairs didn't. And that should have too. In case the fact that your belt didn't fit anymore and you had to replace it 2 or 3 times, that should have gotten your attention. And the fact that you can no longer shop off of the rack at most of the retail clothing stores in your community and have to find the big and tall section in order to find anything that fits, that should get your attention, and it should have gotten mine, but all it did was made me sad. All it did was make me feel like I couldn't accomplish anything. It made me feel as though nothing I tried was working, and I got depressed. And along with that depression came a fatalistic view of food. Well, I might as well eat. Nothing else I do is working. That is how I felt. Until one day I just got desperate enough. I went to my doctor and I said, "I think I want to try one of those new weight loss drugs like Ozempic or Mounjaro or something like that." My doctor looked at my situation, said, you've got the diabetes, you're obese. Yeah, I think that'd be a good plan for you. And so she wrote the prescription. And I went to get that prescription filled. However, when I showed up at the pharmacy, the pharmacist said, we're sorry, but your insurance said you need pre-approval for this, and so you need to go back to your doctor, they need to do the paperwork, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it was obviously going to take some time. And I wasn't willing to wait for it. I thought, you know what, that's fine, we can still move forward with that process, but I need to get this show on the road. I need to start reversing this weight right now. And so I made the decision with the advice of my wife, who's a licensed, certified health and wellness and nutrition coach, to go on a whole food plant-based diet. It wasn't the first time I tried a whole food plant-based diet. I tried it a couple times in the past. I'd done it for as much as 3 months at one point in time and lost about 20 or 30 pounds on it. And that was great. So I knew that I could do it at least for 90 days. And so that's what I committed to doing. I said, you know what? I am going to go on a plant-based diet for 90 days. And then at the end of that 90 days, I'll evaluate. I'll see how I feel about it. Maybe at that time I'll add back in some, cottage cheese, eggs, things like that. That's what I told myself. If you can hear the noise, my son's watching a movie in the other room. That's how casual this video is, right? I'm not even worried about the fact that the lighting's not perfect, the sound's not perfect. There are fans going around the house because our air conditioner's having a problem. This is real life. I'm sharing real life with you. I'm even drinking some tea, as I said. Excuse me, I'm gonna have another sip. This is gonna be one of those less editing is more type videos. I hope you don't mind. So I went on a whole food plant-based diet with the decision to try it for at least 90 days, fully expecting that at the end of that 90 days, I would begin to integrate at least some dairy. I thought, yeah, maybe I'll be an ovo-vegetarian or maybe a flexitarian. Maybe that's my approach. Those are the things I told myself. But the crazy thing is, the more I ate a whole food plant-based diet, the better I liked it. The problem wasn't that there weren't enough interesting things to eat. The problem was there were more interesting things to eat than I had, time in the day to prepare and to try. I found some amazing new staples. Oatmeal. I love oatmeal. I eat it all the time. Smoothies, protein shakes with lots of fruits and vegetables in them. Eat those all the time. Brown rice, lentils, beans and more beans. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, chickpeas. Man, I love me some chickpeas. I found some new tools, things like the Vitamix blender, things like the rice cooker, things like the Instant Pot. All of those things taken together gave me the tools that I needed to know how to make the foods that I wanted to eat, and I learned to make them in creative ways. Now, the rest of the people in the house, they were doing their own thing. I mean, there were times early on when I even went to go pick up pizza for them. Here, watch this little clip and you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, I'm on my way to Little Caesars to buy a pizza and some cheesy bread. Waiting at the red light on my way to get some pizza and cheesy bread. Thanks. Just waiting for the pizza. Pizza, cheesy bread, and a 2-liter root beer. Not good. Smells so good. Hey guys, your pizza's here. What? You didn't think that was for me, did you? So you see, it wasn't one of these situations where I was able to go in and just throw away all the bad stuff and only eat the good stuff because that's all that was in the house. No, I'm eating a whole food plant-based diet while the people around me are eating pizza and burgers and fries and chips and all of the things that I loved. But I was desperate. I was desperate to change. And that desperation gave me the intestinal fortitude that I needed to make these changes and to stick to them. And there were a number of things that I did that really helped along the way. Number one, I prayed. Yeah, I'm a Christian. In fact, I'm a pastor. And I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe that prayer changes things. And one of the things that prayer changes over and above everything else is it changes us, right? It changes us. And that's exactly the prayer that I was praying. The prayer that I was praying basically went like this: Lord, I want to be healthier, but I know that I desire things that are unhealthy. So please change my desires. Help me to no longer want the things that are bad for me, and help me to learn to love the things that are good for me. That was essentially my prayer. And in many ways, the Lord has answered that prayer. Now, don't get me wrong, I still want the bad stuff sometimes. I want it. That doesn't mean I necessarily have to give into it. But I have found that a lot of the things that are good for me, I'm actually beginning to enjoy more and more. And the more that I eat them, the more that I enjoy them. You see, one of the things that I noticed is that my palate has changed. It has been rejuvenated. It has been repaired to a certain extent. I can eat a strawberry, and when I used to think that strawberry needed to be dipped in sugar, I now recognize that strawberries are sweet. At least if you get good ones, they are. And so I was freed through the process of time and as an answer to prayer and through retraining my palate. I was freed from the hyper flavorful, right, foods that we eat so often. So much of our food today and our food supply chain is filled with fat and salt and sugar. And it is made by the food manufacturers. And isn't that sad that we have to say that? The food manufacturers? I thought we used to call those farmers. No, we're not talking about farmers. We're talking about big agro. We're talking about Frito-Lay. We're talking about big food companies. Pardon me, Frito-Lay, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm sure you have lots of great stuff out there. No offense. But the point that I'm trying to make is the food manufacturers who are manufacturing the food that is eaten as part of the standard American diet. Sad, right? It's sad. Those foods are hyper palatable. And what that means is they taste really good. And when you eat them, you want more of them. And they even brag about that, right? You remember the old Lay's potato chip commercial? You can't eat just one. And they're right, because you eat one and you want more, and you eat another one and you want more. They're designed that way to make you want and crave more. And as I began to eat more whole foods, look, if you don't want to talk about plant-based food, if you don't want to be a vegan or a plant-based person, I'm not vegan, by the way. Vegan means a whole lot more than just eating plants. There's a lot more to it. I'm not vegan. I have all the respect in the world for those of you who are. I'm not one, that's okay. I'm very mercenary in my choice of diets. I'm eating a plant-based diet because I know it works and because it's helping me. Very selfish on my part. I acknowledge that. But if you don't want to eat a plant-based diet, that's fine. Fine, don't eat a plant-based diet. I am not trying to force you, to persuade you, or to talk you into eating a plant-based diet, but I would like to encourage you to eat more plants, to eat more fruits and vegetables. I'm not going to tell you don't eat meat or don't eat dairy, but I am telling you eat so much of the other stuff, the good stuff, that there's less room for that in your stomach and on your plate, okay? Shift the balance. Switch over to a more plant-centric way of eating. And maybe even more importantly, move away from those hyper-palatable, heavily processed, manufactured foods and start eating real food. Real food. Food in its natural state. Whole food. That's what we should be eating, right? Foods as close to normal as they were made, as they were harvested. That's what our bodies need. I'm going to give you a good example of a food that I really love that I think can kind of paint this picture. Consider oatmeal, right? There are lots of different types of oatmeal. You've got instant oats that you just add water to, and it's ready in 60 seconds or less. The majority of the time when you eat those instant oats, you'll recognize that they're packed full of all kinds of flavors, artificial flavors, preservatives, all kinds of stuff that has been added to them, not the least of which is sugar. And then the next step up that line, you've got quick oats, right? 1 minute oats. Those have been steamed and flattened and pressed, and you can cook them in about a minute. Then one step further down the line, you've got old-fashioned oats or rolled oats. Now, I'll be honest, that's what I use most of the time. I use old-fashioned or rolled oats most of the time. But then you go another step further, closer to the original form of that food, and you get steel-cut oats or Irish oats. Now, those take about 30 minutes to cook on the stove, so they take a lot longer. 5 minutes for rolled oats, 1 minute for quick oats, maybe less for instant oats, but steel-cut oats take about 30 minutes on the stove to cook. And then you can go even further down the line and actually get what are called oat groats. Now, the further down that line you go towards the original state of that food, the healthier that food is going to be for you. And so the point that I'm trying to make is this. Okay, fine. Don't be plant-based, but eat whole foods. Eat foods in as close to their natural state, as unrefined and as unprocessed as you can. And the more foods that you add into your diet from that category, that unprocessed whole food, the better off your health is going to be. The easier it's going to be to lose weight, the more full you're going to feel, the more fiber you're going to get in your diet. It's a win-win for you, right? So I recognized that, and I began to eat foods a lot closer to their natural state. And I began to eat whole foods, and I began to practice mindfulness and to track my foods. I used MyFitnessPal. There are lots of other trackers out there. There are things like Noom. That's a really good one, of course. But I used MyFitnessPal. And in the first 30 days, I lost well over 20 pounds. It blew my mind because I was losing close to a pound a day. Now, I will acknowledge a lot of that was water weight. But why was I losing so much water weight? Well, the answer is because I had been retaining a lot of water. Why was I retaining a lot of water? Because of all the processed foods and all of the sodium that was in my diet. Because hidden among all of that processing is a whole lot of sugar and a whole lot of salt. And that's what I was eating. And so when I took that away and I began to eat more normal and more natural foods, I began to see that weight just shed off. And it was amazing. I was inspired at that point. And so I continued tracking my foods. I continued in a calorie deficit, and I stayed on that plant-based diet, not for 90 days, but at this point I've been on it for 6 months. And I'm so glad that I did this. Now, is eating a plant-based diet the only thing that I did? No. In April, I recognized that I had sort of hit a little bit of a plateau. I'd been on this diet for about 3 months, and my weight loss had slowed down a little bit, or at least it felt like it was. And so I began to try to move more. Now, I still wasn't feeling anywhere near like I could actually go to the gym and work. I just wasn't feeling confident enough to do that. I wasn't feeling physically fit enough to even begin that process. But one thing I knew I could do, and that was I could walk. And at that point, even walking was a challenge because my hip would hurt, and I had a problem with my feet. I have very, very flat feet. They're very flat. I'm surprised they let me join the Army back when I was 18. But, you know, they've gotten worse since then. And so I have very flat feet. And I had developed a callus on one of my feet that made it very, very uncomfortable to walk. And so I went to my doctor and got a referral to a podiatrist. And I went into the podiatrist and they removed that large callus growth. It turns out it was a clogged sweat gland. I know that's kind of gross, sorry, but that's what it was. And once they removed that, my feet didn't hurt anymore. I was able to walk again. And so in April, I started walking. And I averaged 10,000 steps a day in the month of April. And I felt great. Now, I didn't really focus on that, on walking or on the gym in the month of May because I'm a teacher. May is the last month of school before we break for summer, and it's really busy. And so I was just busy all the time, didn't have time to do it, stayed on my diet, kept tracking food, doing those things. But I didn't exercise. So when summer rolled around and June hit, I said, you know what? I really want to challenge myself in the month of June. And so if you've watched my channel at all, if you've seen any of the shorts that I've posted over the last month, you know this already. But in June, I began a challenge for myself to see if I could do it. and I challenged myself to walk 20,000 steps a day, every day in the month of June. Check it out. Day one of 20,000 steps a day. On your mark, set, go.
Let's kick it. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. All right, stop. Go me, baby.
All right, that's enough of that. If I keep letting the walking montage go, it'll go on forever because I've got lots and lots of footage of me walking in different places, and it was a challenge. And I didn't make it every day. There was one day that I did not make my 20,000 steps. Out of the 30 days in June, one day I did not get my 20,000. So yesterday, June 16th, was the first day this month that I did not achieve my goal of walking 20,000 steps. And I've spent some time thinking about how I feel about that. So, first, of course, I was disappointed in myself that I didn't hit that goal. I did try, but there were other things that crowded out the walking that I would have liked to have done. And some of those things need to have crowded out that walking. Some of the things that I did yesterday were more important than actually walking. I did try. I was walking until midnight and did manage to hit about 15,000 steps, which is great. It was good. 15,000 steps is nothing to be disappointed about. But as I thought about it, I thought, well, that is in a sense the point of a challenge. I didn't manage my time properly. I had technological problems. My watch stopped tracking because it had a glitch. It needed to update. I got confused. I spent too much time trying to figure this out rather than just getting in the steps, and I had no way to know exactly how many there were. Finally got it fixed, hit the treadmill, walked as hard and as long and as fast as I could, but the bottom line is I ran out of time. So for that day, I had 15,000 steps, 14,800 of which are verifiable, but I know I got more than 200 in the interim, so I call that one 15,000. So I was 5,000 short, so the next day, I did 25,000 steps that next day. On average, for the month of June, I walked about 20,400 steps every day, on average. And I have become a walking enthusiast. Now, am I still walking 20,000 steps a day? No, I'm not, and there's a reason for that. It takes forever. At least it took me forever. And my wife was beginning to think I didn't live here anymore because I was always out walking. I'd walk in the morning, I'd walk in the afternoon, I'd go walking at night. A lot of times I was at the gym on the treadmill at 11:30, 11:45 at night, chasing down those last few hundred steps to get to 20,000, but I did it. My new goal, my new target for myself is to walk between 15,000 and 20,000 steps a day. And for the last few days, that has been absolutely no problem. I go for a 3 or 4 mile walk in the morning. Usually I get the rest of the steps I need throughout the day. Maybe I have to take a short walk in the evening after dinner, but nothing too extravagant. Not having to make those constant trips to the gym. But walking 20,000 steps a day, man, that was a challenge. It was a good challenge. And I think I will do it again. I think every June, maybe, because it's the first month of summer vacation, I think I'll challenge myself to hit a high step goal. But on average, my plan is to walk between 15 to 20,000 steps a day. And now that I'm no longer doing the 20,000 steps, I'm going to begin to reintegrate some strength training and make that a part of my weight loss journey. So there's a lot more that I could talk about, but I've already kept you too long. We're like 23 minutes in. Once I add the extra footage for those little asides, this will probably be a 30-minute video at this point, and I can't expect you to watch it that long, especially if you don't know me. But there's a lot more I want to talk about. There's a lot more about the walking challenge I want to talk about. There's a lot more about eating a plant-based diet that I want to talk about. There's a lot more about the metrics that I used in order to evaluate my progress, whether that was my Fitbit for tracking steps, my Renpho scale for measuring my weight and other biometrics, whether it was my Fitness Pal for tracking my calories and maintaining my macro balance as I want to. All of those things are things that I would love to talk about, as well as all of the behavioral stuff, right? How did I change my habits? I'll give you a clue. This helped a lot, tea in the evenings. And there's a very specific story associated with that, which I will share in a future video. There's just not time now. I'm sorry. I know you're desperate to know my tea secret. You want me to spill the tea? I get it. That's a bad pun. I'm sorry. It's late. I'm gonna wrap up because I want to talk about all of that. I also want to talk about my goals moving forward, because July needs to be a little different than all of the months that have preceded it, because there are some pieces to this puzzle that I have yet to integrate fully. I spent the first part of this journey really focusing on diet, measuring my calories, staying on a caloric budget, sticking to the whole food plant-based, eating plan. And then this last month, I've really been focused more on walking. In fact, I've focused so much on my step count that my diet was off considerably. Not because I was eating things I shouldn't have been eating. I still stayed on a plant-based diet, but because I was eating too late, I was eating too much, and I was being a little bit careless with a few key foods that I was beginning to develop some bad habits with. Can you say peanut butter? It's plant-based and it's healthy, it's good for you, but man, there's a lot of fat in it and it's calorically dense. And I was getting very careless with peanut butter, starting to take untracked spoonfuls of it at various times, or putting it on apples when they didn't necessarily need it. So yeah, peanut butter, I love it, but I gotta limit it, right? I gotta watch myself around that. So there's a lot I wanna talk about those things. And there are some other things that I have to confess have just not been things I've been able to pin down yet. Two in particular. Number one, I have not been able to consistently maintain a weight training schedule. I have not been lifting. I have not been doing strength training. I tried, I failed, I got distracted by 20,000 steps. That has got to come back, and I've got to get it solid. I've got a month before school starts again, and I want that to be a locked-in habit. And number two, my sleep. I mean, let's just talk about right now, right? It is 1:17 in the morning as I'm recording this, and that's not okay. My sleep schedule is a mess. I am a night owl, and I will use any excuse to stay up late. And it's sabotaging my weight loss. It is. It's causing me to have higher cortisol levels. It's causing my body to hold on to weight that it should be letting go of, and it's slowing down my progress. And ain't nobody got time for that. I don't have time for that. I do not have time for my progress to be slowed down, because I am determined to lose 100 pounds this year. I think it's a reasonable goal. So I want to talk about all of that. So there will be more videos, there will be more shorts, there will be more information forthcoming on many of those topics. I would love to hear in the comments what you would like to hear about first. Okay, so I'm gonna give you, my viewers, especially those of you who've been around for a while, and hopefully some of you folks who are watching this for the first time too, I'm gonna give you a little control over the programming on this channel for a moment or two. I'd like, there's multiple choice, okay? Choice A, do you want to hear more about my sleep schedule plans? Choice B, do you want to hear more about my weight training plans? Choice C, do you want my next video to be about my 20,000 steps a day and all of that? Or choice D, do you want to hear about how I actually went on a cruise and lost a pound rather than gaining weight like most people do? So those are four choices, right? Let me know in the comments which one of those you would like my next long form video to be about. And if I get any votes, then that's what it'll be. I'll leave it up to you. The shorts are coming on a variety of topics on whims as I want to, whether you want me to or not. So yeah, I'm sorry. I would say, they always say, oh, be sure to subscribe and hit that alarm button. No, don't hit the alert button on this channel. I don't want to disturb you because I post at random times. Usually I post the weekly update like this one, on Wednesdays. Usually, there have been a couple of weeks where I was a little late. Like today, it's technically Thursday already, and last week it was even later. But usually I post those on Wednesdays, but I post shorts all the time, and I'll occasionally post a long form video. Like I did a great video the other day, my first ever grocery haul video, which was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. In fact, if I can figure out, I haven't figured this out yet, but I'm gonna try to figure out, I'm gonna try to link that one right up here. I'm gonna link it if I can. For the grocery haul video. You should go back and watch that. It was really good. I had a good time making that video, and I've had a good time watching that video, and I think you'd like that video. So go watch it. Go watch if you haven't had enough of me already and my rambling. Go watch that video. But yeah, I just remembered. By the way, I haven't told you how much weight I've lost. Maybe it's in the thumbnail. I don't know, or maybe it's not. I don't remember. But I'm gonna tell you now. Since January 1st of 2025, I have dropped from 335 pounds to 262 pounds as of this morning. In other words, I have lost over 72 pounds in 6 months, and I couldn't be happier. If you want to know more, if you want to hear more of my story, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and we'll talk more later. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day.